Hello and welcome back to another episode of The Novice Way. I'm Jason, and today we're going to be making a wooden airplane toy for Maker's Care. This is a simple wooden toy that I made in about an hour, and I spent a total of $2 on wood. Ended up using maybe an eighth of that wood. It was $1.99 after tax for a 3.5 inch by 3/4 inch furring strip that I got at my local Lowe's. And so here I am pulling the card out, getting it nice and clean for the new project. I am trying a different format in this video. I'm usually talking to the camera, and here's a voiceover, so hopefully it works fine. The first step is just outlining the width of the board on a piece of paper, and I drew the airplane. There's two pieces. There's going to be the body of the airplane and then the wing, and so I drew the body, and originally I just made a little elongated oval for the wing, but then I realized that that oval wasn't symmetric, and so I made it symmetric by just folding the piece of paper, drawing the outline on one side, and then tracing that outline on the other, and that worked really well. If I did it again, I'd probably make it a bit more tapered. It's just kind of a plain oval. It works, but as far as making the plane look maybe stylish, it would be better if the wings were a little angled, I suppose. Okay, so now that I have the patterns drawn out, I'm cutting the boards with the miter saw, making sure that they're going to be at least long enough for the paper to be glued onto. You can't really screw up here unless you cut them too short. So there's the two pieces, and now I'm going to take some, well, you can see a really good shot of the outlines there. Okay, and I'm going to cut them up. Alright, and so this is the contact adhesive, just regular 3M, all-purpose contact adhesive. No big deal. Now, one technique I do know that when you spray it on there, you gotta let it dry a little bit before you put it on the boards. If you spray and then put it directly onto the boards right away, it'll bond too much and you won't be able to peel the paper off. So, as you saw, I kind of waved my hand, let it dry a little bit, get it a little tacky, and then put it on the boards, and that way they'll just peel right off the boards. And so I got the bandsaw out, I'm cutting this up. Now I'm trying to get as close to the line as possible, but not get to the line. I'm going to clean that up with sanding. So after doing the bandsaw, got the belt sander out and was able to clean up those edges and get them right down to the line. And so I just kind of kept sanding until I got to the line. Now the belt sander is great for the straight lines and the flat parts, but then you get to the point where there's the bits inside, like the windshield and the back of the front of the tail, and so for those I had to switch out from the belt sander to the spindle sander. And this worked really great because this is a brand new sanding spindle, and so it just really tore through. I actually used it to clean up the entire edge because it's a really good square spindle, and I had some edges to clean up, so I went ahead and used it for the entire thing and just sort of went back over everything and got it cleaned up. Once I was done with that, I took it, see how those peel right off? That's from waiting for the glue to dry just a little bit. Okay, so I'm taking measurements to see where I need to cut on the body piece to make a hole for the wing. And so as you can see, I took the height and the width, marked them on there, and then I went back over it with a speed square to extend those lines to the side so I can see them. And then I went to the table saw and lowered my blade to the height of that line, and then I just made several small cuts to hog out that hole that I'm drilling. So or the hole that we're cutting open. So as you can see, I cut the lines on either side so I didn't overshoot, and then I just sort of went back over and over and over. And at the end there, it's very important, I just kind of got it above the blade and scooted it back and forth to make sure that it was completely smooth. As you can see, it fits really well in there. And after that, I did a little cleanup with the belt sander. I saw that there were some imperfections, and went over it with the belt sander as well as the disc sander to get the edges just nice and smooth, straight. And then once I was done with that, I went to pull out the router, and I already have my round over bit in there, so just went straight to rounding over the edges. Nothing too extreme, just kind of get them soft. It is a kid's toy. Don't want to have too many sharp edges. And once I was done with that, I went back over it with some hand sanding. I'm not going to show too much of that. In fact, the camera cut out and so I missed all the hand sanding for the most part and the glue up. So this is me after I glued it, wiping off the excess squeeze out. And here's a nice shot of the plane. Now, as you can see, there's some gaps between the body and the wing. I went back over and filled those with wood fill, as you can see in a couple shots here in a second. And see, yeah, so now they're filled. It's not sanded, but filled. And I sanded that off camera and painted with this 2-in-1 primer and paint. Just nice beige, something simple. And I made it a family project and got my wife and son involved. And as you see, my wife's putting in GAJB13, and that's my son's initials and the year he was born. He's right there. He's a 2-year-old, and we got him to add his creativity to the project, and he got to give it a nice paint job with his washable markers. If I were to do this again, I probably would have used some markers that aren't washable, because as you can see later on, I put a clear coat on, and it kind of made those run just a little bit, and it would have been nice to have a bit cleaner. But hey, you know, he's 2-year-old, and he's marking it up, making his own, and for the most part, it kept his all of his lines, so it was good. It was only the parts where he really laid it on thick that it kind of ran a little bit, but not too big a deal. So my wife's getting in on it by drawing a little smiley face and squigglies, and there's George getting the wing with the blue. And again, this is all for Makers Care, which is right now they're raising money for Make-A-Wish Foundation. I'm going to put a link to the organization in the comments of the video. And Steve Ramsey is a wonderful woodworking channel. If you haven't checked that out, please do so. I doubt you're on this video if you haven't seen him, but if you haven't, please do so. And again, I put some clear enamel over those marker, all the stuff my son did to kind of protect it. And once I did 3 coats of clear enamel, I let it dry, and here's the finished product. And we put his name and the date on the tail as well, so we know when he did this. And yeah, there's the plane. So again, for Makers Care, and happy to do it. Steve, I'm so glad that you stepped up to the plate, and let me know if I can do anything else. I'm going to be right here with you, making videos, and hopefully we can make a difference together. So thanks a lot, guys.